I don't get any of this. Smallpox in North America in the 17th and 18th century? What even is this? What was this disease? Why is it so important? Alright, I'm calling Hanna, she always knows everything.
Hey Eden! Need a quick crash course on smallpox?
What exactly was this disease?
So, smallpox, or Variola was a highly contagious and deadly disease caused by the Variola virus. It has existed in Europe and Africa long before arriving in the Americas. The name comes from the Latin word varius, meaning spotted, and the Old English smallpox, in contrast to syphilis, which was called great pox.
So it's called smallpox, but it wasn't a small problem at all. What did it actually do to people?
Good way to put it! Imagine this, a high fever of 40 degrees, chills, headaches, vomiting, and a few days, your skin gets covered in pus-filled blisters that eventually dry up and form scabs.
That sounds horrible. And if someone caught it, what were their chances of survival?
Not great. The mortality rate was between 15 and 45%. Those who survived were often left with scars for life. But the worst part? It was extremely contagious, spreading through the air or direct contacts.
If one person got it, everyone around them was in danger. No wonder it was such a big deal. But how did it get to North America? I'm guessing it didn't just magically appear, right? Someone must have brought it over.
Exactly. It's all started with the European explorers when they arrived in the New World in 1492. Smallpox was unknown to Native Americans, meaning they had no immunity. Around 1518, it spread with the African slave trade and early settlers.
So when Hernan Cortez arrived in Mexico in 1519, the Aztecs were totally unprepared for it?
That's right, and it got worse when a second Spanish expedition arrived to stop him. They unknowingly brought an enslaved African man who was infected. The disease spread like wildfire among the Aztecs, killing thousands and weakening the empire. The Spanish, who were mostly immune, seemed almost invincible in comparison.
Oh, so they weren't fighting against the Spanish, they were fighting against a disease that they didn't even know existed.
Exactly, and historians say this happened because indigenous people had never been exposed to European diseases before, what we call a virgin soul epidemic. Europeans had built up immunity over centuries because they lived close to farm animals, which carried similar diseases. But indigenous community didn't have that exposure, so when smallpox arrived, it hit them extremely hard.
So what happened to these communities? Did they recover?
Unfortunately, many didn't. The population collapse was massive. The Hurons, for example, lost between 15 and 17% of their people. And the problem wasn't just death. Entire societies were thrown into chaos.
Because if so many people were sick, there was no one left to do the essential stuff like hunting or farming.
Exactly! No food, no leadership, no one to pass on knowledge. It was a disaster. And with so many people dying, their enemies and European colonizers took advantage of their weakness.
I read somewhere that smallpox was even used as a weapon.
Yes, in 1763, during Fort Pitt, a British officer reportedly gave smallpox-infected blankets to a Native American hoping to spread disease.
That's seriously messed up. So smallpox wasn't just an accident. It was also used on purpose.
Well, it's debated, but either way, smallpox sped up European colonization by devastating indigenous populations.
Okay, enough bad news. Tell me, there was a way to stop it?
Yes, before vaccines, people used a technique called variolation that deliberately infected healthy people with a tiny amount of smallpox from someone else's source. The idea was that they'd get a mild case and then be immune afterwards.
Wait, they infected people on purpose? That sounds super risky.
It was. Some people still got very sick or even died, but it was better than nothing. Then, in the late 18th century, an English doctor named Edward Jenner discovered that cowpox, a much milder case, could protect against smallpox. That's how the first vaccine was created.
So, thanks to vaccines, smallpox is gone now?
Yeah, after a massive global vaccination effort, smallpox was officially eradicated in 1980. It's the first human disease we've ever completely wiped out.
That's amazing. Thanks, Hannah. Now I finally understand everything.
And that's the story of smallpox.